If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish. Rubbish.
That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Okay, this is Batushka.
So this song, okay, so Batushka, and then how would you pronounce that?
Pested.
Okay.
Pestin 2.
This is the comment from our Middle Earth, our Middle
Pestin
Breakfast. DJ. Did not know, but was not surprised to see that Vin and Sori did 3 song reviews from Batushka's album, Liturgia? Liturgia? Vin and Sori also put up Christoph's video about his problems with the vocalist Bart, who froze him out and took over the Batushka band brand and social media. Bart was quick to trademark, copyright, and control all social media. Tried to find out the current status of the lawsuit between them, but had zero luck with that other than to note that Christoph no longer uses Batushka. So after this amount of time, I would conclude he lost in court to Bart. Lot more to it all, but the fans are on Team Christoph. So there's that. Bart seems to have won a, how do you say this?
Pyrrhic victory.
Based on fan loyalty. On the 27th of May, 2019, Christoph
Drabikowski?
Now a solo Polish project, released a new full-length album called
Panhida Requiem.
This is song number 2.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, man.
Also, they just said a little note here to us. The original non-English lyrics are available on Metronome, but my use of them in a translator was suboptimal. You can obviously try it. I just took these lyrics from the video. My only question was the use of Unholy Mother for the Blessed Mother. Such a moniker seems as odd with the balance of the lyrics, and Christoph may have intended it as translated. He may be making a point or not.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting when you look at. I'm pretty sure it's the Holy Mother of God. I don't think it's Unholy Mother. I'm looking at multiple translation here, so we'll just assume they meant to say Holy Mother of God.
Yep.
Maybe the person that was doing the translating was simply trolling you.
Doom is eternal. Thank you for the super chat.
Okay, shout out to Doom is eternal. But I usually don't take sides in
yes, because it's hard to know all the details.
It's hard to know all the details, correct. But at the time, we had a pretty significant relationship with the band at a personal... I mean, honestly, that's how I got introduced to Fortnite. That's how Fortnite ended up in our house.
You got your first skin that way.
Yeah. I don't think I ever got a Vic with the homie. I'm going to reach out to him like, yo! Actually, we were supposed to hook up with Batushka, the real Batushka, when they were coming eastward, and we were supposed to hook up, and there was supposed to be some really cool stuff happening, and then COVID hit, and that was the end of that. So Hear me! You should probably watch this video. Hear me!
us!
I'll be a much better Fortnite partner, by the way.
Oh, yeah. He's a badass now.
I'm a badass now. You should have seen me. Okay, Batushka. Song 2 from the 2019 blast. Let's do it.
The Vault of Heaven.
Yeah.
It's also sad.
Batushka. I remember when I was what are they called now? What did they say they were called now?
This
Krista, it's just
the
his
guy's name.
Just his name.
I guess.
Man, that really sucks, bro.
Yeah.
That really, really, really sucks. That shit was legendary, that band's name.
Yeah, it's interesting though.
It was an unbelievable song.
Yeah, it's interesting because the last time that I listened to Batushka, I was not really a big fan of it. But I definitely like it more now than I did before. But I think that, you know, you guys know my musical journey. I wasn't, we didn't have much music. So definitely there was no metal.
Yeah.
So, I think I've slowly been coming in and, my palette has been broadening for different types of metal music because I definitely enjoyed this one much more than I ever did before, which was new and exciting for me because I know how much of a big fan you are. That's one thing about these streams, like when I'm like, it's going to be death metal, whatever, like this type, I'm like, well, at least because we're not going to sit down and I'm not going to sit down and listen to 8 songs like this style, just like on our own. But then when we do it as a stream, you get to enjoy it. I'm here for it. It's kind of interesting.
Yes.
But
my boy Lito's in the house.
I wouldn't have listened to this one.
This is Mr. Parrish. That's Parrish.
I was telling the kids, Parrish.
Parrish. He told the kids to perish? What the fuck?
No. I didn't tell them what people were saying in the
story.
stream. I just said that people were going a little crazy in the comment section.
Crazy.
Like, Perish. They were laughing.
Yeah, these guys are able to take like liturgical,
it was very beautiful.
Be in a church service type of situation, and Skylar in the house. It's like real metal, man.
Yeah.
Real black metal vocally, but then like a lot of times in the middle, they'll get very liturgical, like
Yeah.
you're in church. It's got that ominous. You know what? Being an evangelical, raised Protestant, raised Pentecostal, you don't really appreciate that kind of high church kind of mantra chanting type.
No, you don't.
Forms of worship.
No.
Like, we used to just make fun of that shit. Like, oh, that's ridiculous. Isn't until you get older, until you
Yeah.
start to realize, like, yo, that's actually pretty beautiful. And it's actually, it brings a different kind of holiness to the moment. It really,
Yes,
in my opinion,
does.
anyway.
It does.
Instead of the same 2 or 3 chords and 2 or 3 progressions that you hear on Christian radio. Like, this is music.
But you're right, it was laughable to us.
Yeah.
Like, how are these people doing? Look at their mouths.
Yeah. And but they were serious as hell though.
Yep.
And like it's a very fascinating thing to be like, this is a black metal band that appears to take God more seriously than 99.999% of the music you hear on Christian radio.
Yeah.
Like, I've never really been able to deal with Christian radio. Like, I've never been able to do it. You know,
It's a hard pill to swallow.
It's all coming from the same house. It looks like just suburban, first world problem. You know, soccer mom, shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like I don't want to swing. It's just music I couldn't relate to. Whereas this music has a certain type of heaviness to it. I'm not even talking about the Batushka. We'll get into what Batushka does in a second. But to Larry's point, there's a certain type of beautiful weight to the spirituality that a lot of these like high church forms of worship have that, I don't know, I think it's probably born out of like from the catacombs and suffering and depth, whereas with American modern worship music is born from being in the first world and being at the good side of an empire that, you know, you generally, especially pre 9/11, forget about it. Subhanallah, like, forget it. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Right.
But like, this stuff is crazy, and obviously lyrically, you know, at perfect.
I love that it was a lyric video, so then we could see it happening.
Yes.
As it was, because when I'm reading it over here, I have no freaking clue where we are. Am I reading too fast or too slow? But then when it was over there, it was cool to be able to just see, oh, this is what they're talking about when the song sounds like this.
Yeah, and there is just that depth to it. It was pretty crazy. I remember when we first like discovered Batushka, or were introduced to Batushka, I was like, I don't know, man, what are these guys doing? You know, whatever.
Yeah.
It was kind of a crazy situation.
Yeah, we were wondering if they.
And I was saying to myself, like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like,
I feel like I didn't like them at all.
You didn't like them at all initially.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, I feel like I thought it was kind of scary.
We didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know, like lyrically, I look at the lyrics, I'm like, I was waiting. Remember I was telling you, I was like, I'm waiting for the punchline with these people. Like, when is the punchline going to come where they're going to be like, ah, devil! You know what I'm saying? Like, I was waiting for that, and it never showed up. And I was always like, and it's funny because I would talk to Christoph. You know, obviously, Christoph and I were talking offline, and, you know, we ended up doing the thing for them. And I never asked him that question. I never said, like, yo, what are you doing? Where are you at spiritually? There were other people in the band that I would talk to, and we'd have really, really deep conversations. And it wasn't coming from me. Like, I wasn't initiating it. People from the band were asking me questions about, hey, what do you think about this? And it's cool because now I got a buddy that I have those conversations. Shout out to DJ ET. Like, I was in the middle of Fortnite. So we're having this great discussion about the Trinity, and I'm like, yeah, just hold off. I'm trying to kill this motherfucker right now.
Well,
but like, yeah, man, like that was a crazy situation to me. Like, I was never really able to figure out like where he was with it and all that. And Christoph was really, really, the whole band was mysterious, but he was very, very mysterious. We didn't really, really start talking until that whole situation popped off. And I don't even think he asked me, hey, can you do this? Mm-hmm. It was more like another guy from the band was like, yo, he really needs your help if you could, whatever. Mm-hmm. So anyway, okay, so go into the lyrics. What did you think he was saying lyrically? Well, obviously we knew what he was saying lyrically, obviously.
Yeah, well, I guess what was your favorite part? And I do think it was saying Holy Mother, not unholy.
Yeah, obviously. Obviously. Which, I don't know, like if we would have first heard it at the beginning, we'd have been like, uh-huh!
there he goes. Yeah.
It really it really kind of fucked you up.
I will establish you in my love. That was right off the bat. He said that.
I'm the summit of desires, the confirmation of the faithful, and the lover of man. I like that
mankind? One a lot. Oh, man. Okay.
Well, it was right there in the first verse.
Yeah, mine said mankind, but it's the same thing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, lover of man, lover of mankind.
Oh, okay. And so this part, I am myself of my own goodwill lay dead in the grave and called forth those who dwell in the graves. When he said that called forth those who dwell in the graves, I was listening to, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but Jordan Peterson was talking about a dream he had where he went into this cemetery and all the graves were there and they were indented because there was well, I think he said indented, which I thought was odd. But anyway, all of a sudden all the graves opened and the people came out of the graves. And all of the rulers of the earth, like all the tyrants and everything were there. And they immediately started doing what they did before they died, which was go to war with each other. And then Jesus showed up and they all bowed down to Jesus. And then
who had this?
Jordan Peterson. But he was saying that this was, he didn't interpret it the way that I would have, but he was basically saying there has to be one being that is about like goodness or good that all of them will bow to because they recognize his authority or something like that. But it was a very interesting dream that he had. And so that part where
I mean, Carmen Christie, every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord to the glory of God the Father. Now, of course, that leads to previous conversations we've had a couple weeks ago, which is, okay, so what happens to Stalin when he bends the knee to Christ?
Yep.
Does Christ say, all right, Stalin, to the flames?
Oh my God. Did you just throw something?
I did. That was Stalin. That was his entire life. His soul, everything.
And that little piece of paper was as big as a piece of confetti.
Shout out to... It is fascinating, that concept. All these people are fighting, and then one of them stands up who's like the alpha of the alphas and says, and everybody bows to him. Mm-hmm. But it's crazy because the ultimate symbol of Christianity is not a symbol of power. It's a symbol of ultimate dissolution of power, namely the cross. Which is one of the reasons. See, that's the thing, is that what is it about the cross in Peterson's mind? I'd love to ask him, that gets Stalin and Hitler and Bush and Obama and all these other mass murderers. See, Americans are not used to me putting
Obama in there.
Obama and Bush.
Wait, what? Yeah. Well, he was talking about the level of goodness that it sounded like. I mean, it was kind of weird because when I was watching it, the YouTube video shut off and went back to the main menu. It was like a 4.5-minute video. I was like, yo, let me put that back on. So I put it back on.
That was the devil.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It was the black metal demons shutting it off.
We don't want this.
But anyway, he goes into a big explanation. I took my explanation from it. And then I took from his, like, sometimes I don't listen very good. I just take from it what I think I want to hear.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. In that situation.
Moving right along.
That situation with you, for sure. Yeah, it's fascinating. It is a very, very fascinating idea. You know, like, it's probably something I'm gonna. One of the good things about being able to talk with a guy like AT is that you're able to
Learn while you talk.
Learn while you talk, and learn about yourself while you talk, and learn what you actually believe. Mm-hmm. Because all of our beliefs are so dense that it's very difficult to really truly know what we believe unless somebody asks you a question from a certain... He was asking me about fates, like a certain Norse understanding of fate, for example. And I think they're tripartite and how they relate to the Trinity and all the rest of it. And so I was saying that I said, well, those in a Christian world would be watchers, because the watchers do control fate to a degree. Mm-hmm. I mean, they report to Yahweh, but he's delegated that to them.
Right.
It's what happened. Well, I think it was Nebuchadnezzar. This is by the whole thing about him eating grass and all the rest of it. That didn't come directly from God. That was actually a decree of the watchers.
Right.
They determined that would happen to him.
Yep.
So, but anyway, so when he's talking about this, I am the summit of desires, is such a fascinating concept that I could literally spend 5 hours talking about. So, for example, we're reading Atlas Shrugged, and Ayn Rand, one of her, she's got this very controversial idea, I think, that selfishness is a virtue. Mm-hmm. We haven't completely finished Atlas Shrugged, and then there is a more formal book that she has called The Fountainhead, where she really explicates it in technical terms, I think.
Okay.
But obviously everybody reacts to that. Oh my God, selfishness is... And obviously, looking at our current seats in Laban, you're thinking about capitalism. The more of us are understanding like the evils of capitalism, or unbridled capitalism, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Medicare for all. We have seen how horrible selfishness, what selfishness results in. But if I was Ayn Rand, I'd say, but the argument in the book is so fascinating, because her argument in the book is basically, you have this guy, he's an inventor, you have this woman, and she controls a railway, and they're like, why are you doing this? You're doing this for the betterment of humanity? And she goes, no, I'm doing it because I want to be rich. And then the guy, it's like the guy who's the inventor, it's like, oh, are you doing this for the brotherhood of man? He's like, hell no, nigga, I'm trying to get rich, nigga. Mm-hmm. And so all the people around them are saying, oh my God, you're so horrible. But if you think about it, logically speaking, their selfishness is actually resulting in the benefit of other people.
Right.
Because she's building an excellent railway.
Right.
And his selfishness pushed him to create this new sort of elemental compound that makes everything cheaper and whatever. And so it's a very interesting paradox where their selfishness actually results in the benefit of humanity,
right,
as a sort of necessary accidental byproduct. Mm-hmm. But if you start from the bullshit idea that you're doing this at the expense of yourself, all the characters this is actually one of my criticisms. All the characters in the book that are running around saying, no, selfishness is bad and we need to help humanity at the expense of ourselves, actually end up doing detrimental things to humanity, or impeding human progress, which obviously ends up harming humanity. So the paradox is, if you're selfish and you do what you love for the sake of your own joy, it actually results in the benefit of other people. If you try to deny that basic human fact, then you're going to actually fuck everything up forever. You're going to destroy joy for everybody. Mm-hmm.
Which I think every time she talks about it, I always think of Gary Vee. Right. Because he just does what he loves to do.
Yes.
And he's trying to make money, you know what I mean? Like, he's doing his thing, and it's helping a lot of people. I mean, look what we're doing. Like, all these musicians, like Metallica said it, like, we do music for ourselves. I was listening to an interview with Head. He was like, Head was saying, man, I was just doing this for the ego. I was watching videos for hours of all these rock stars with everybody cheering for him, and I wanted to be that guy. And then Jonathan was was talking about the songs were therapy for him. He didn't even know that people were going to say, oh my God, you saved my life. He's like, I was just doing it for therapy. So it's like, there was a self-motivated, okay. So there was this episode of Friends where it's like, can you do something? Can you ever do something from a completely pure, selfless motive? And
basically they had a funny way of saying that it was impossible. And I believe it's impossible. That's one of the conversations me and AT were talking about, that you might have multiple persons within yourself, but there's one I call the king ego or the super ego, whatever, who kind of makes it ultimate, is the decider, like the little pope or whatever. And it's like, that guy or that ultimate girl, everything they do is for themselves. So then I look at it, even God functions this way in the Bible. So like the ultimate act of selflessness is Jesus going to the cross. That's the ultimate act of selflessness. You know, your attitude should be that of Jesus Christ, who being in the very nature God did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but took on the nature of a servant and emptied himself, yada, 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 yada. Oh, it's very, very humble.
But
then you go to Hebrews.
He says, for the joy that was
who
set
for
before
the joy
him,
set before him endured the cross, despising the shame.
Yeah.
Okay, so even
It's
at the
literally like a mother delivering.
even at the depths, same thing with the mother delivering. Even at the depths of Jesus' sacrifice, it wasn't completely selfless. And the Bible never says that Jesus was selfless in his sacrifice. Not once. It never says he was selfless. Never. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of motivation.
Yeah.
There was a lot of self-motivation in Jesus going to the cross.
Right.
For the joy set before him. And then later on in Jude, we're told, to him who is able to keep you from falling and present you unstained before his glorious presence in front of the Father with great joy.
Yeah.
And so then you say, okay, what is Jesus' joy? What was the joy that was set before him? What is the self-motivated joy? The self-motivated joy was, okay, I'm going to go to this cross. This is going to suck, but I'm going to have Perkinos with me.
Yeah,
I'm
that
going
he
to
would bring many sons to glory.
I'm going to present a perfect Perkinos to the Father. I'm going to present a perfect Sori to the Father. And that joy got him through. So then you go, okay, so a person there's good selfishness, then there's bad selfishness. A good selfish person is a person whose joy gets maximized in the good of other people. So if you take it to Ayn in the book, she's happy when she sees other people on the railway. You know, he's happy when he sees people use his element and all the rest of it. His brother wants to give to charity.
That's what I was thinking.
He doesn't care about the charity, but he cares about his brother. So if it'll help his brother, so it's impossible to do anything without the self involved, or without the self being motivated. But we call a person good if their ultimate happiness lies in the good of another person. So if I'm cashing in on that makes me a good person. If I'm cashing in at the expense of other people, we go, you're a bad person.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Which is why, you do, when a good person does something good for you, and you say, oh man, thank you very much. And they respond by saying, my pleasure. You don't go, you selfish motherfucker. Right?
Yeah.
They just said, my pleasure.
Yeah.
I don't think they're being nice. I think a good person, that's the definition of what a good person is they have pleasure in other people's pleasure.
And they mean it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I said this could take a 5-hour breakdown. But when God says, I am the summit of desires, if I were to take that paradigm to God, then I would say, why are you worshiping God? I'd say, well, I have a self-motivated, I'm self-motivated. I have a selfish reason for motivating God, for worshiping God, which is the highest times of my ecstasy have been when God and I have been that close.
Yep. Me
right?
too.
And it appears to me that God's goodness is ultimate in that he has ordered the universe in such a way as what brings him the most glory brings me the most joy. So that's how he's ordered the universe. That's like an eternal law. And he set it up that way metaphysically, that what brings him the glory is what brings me the most joy. So then when God is calling people to worship him, and there's all these calls for God where God says, worship me, worship me. If you're unadvanced in your thinking, you're going to go, what an insecure guy, when in reality, he's calling you to experience the highest form of ecstasy that you were made for, which is the line, I'm the summit of all desire. I'm the summit of desires. He's the peak of desire. He's a confirmation of the faithful and the lover of man. God's love to us is demonstrated ultimately not in us being made the center of the world, but in us being invited to enjoy infinite joy. And obviously, if you love something or you like something, it's going to be impossible for you not to express it. And so whatever you call that expression, that's worship. So when you go to a metal show and you're
guess what?
and you're shoving each other around, that's a form of worship. You cannot contain your excitement from the joy and the pleasure that you're experiencing from this band.
Or before you go to the show, how you're telling everybody you're going to see it and how awesome they were the last time you saw them or whatever.
Right.
And afterwards, like all of it.
Right. So, I just thought that it was that was a brilliant line. What are you laughing at?
I just think it's funny because like we just spent like the normal amount of review time on like 4 or 5 words.
I know.
And I'm thinking like if somebody gave me all these lyrics and they were like, okay, like you're gonna have to like speak on them, get everything that you can from it, I could probably get 30-45 minutes from it, the whole thing. You'd be talking on this for weeks. So funny.
Yeah, I know. I love the song. What did you give it?
I actually gave this one a 9.2, which I don't know what I've given the other Batushka songs, but if I ever gave them a 9.2,
I think this is one of the highest ratings.
I feel like it's the highest.
You've ever given Batushka.
Yeah. What about you?
Nothing is truly more godlike than divine love, more mysterious, nothing more apt to raise up beings to deification. Deification. Hold on, let me read that again. Nothing is more truly godlike than divine love, nothing more mysterious, nothing more apt to raise up human beings to deification. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. And that was the part where I said that coincides with the part I liked. I will establish you in my love.
But it's very fascinating that I think people who have an anti-Christian sort of you do have to contend with this fascinating paradox that we're saying that the symbol that defines the most powerful being in the universe is the most powerless symbol in the world. You're crucified naked under Roman power. That's the ultimate sign of weakness. Yeah.
Just in a worldly sense, but even in a religious sense, that was like you're cursed if you were doing that. So it was all around the worst.
Yeah. So how do you reconcile the paradox of that type of symbology? Mm-hmm. Like, and how come nobody else has even attempted to try to marry both of those two concepts, ultimate power and ultimate weakness, simultaneously? Nobody's even attempted to marry those two concepts that way. Nope. And why has it been so impossible to shake? It's just impossible to shake. I just think that it's something you have to contend with. I'm not using it as an apologetic argument. I'm just saying that's one of the things I love about talking to ATs is just that these are not apologetics conversation. They're just, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Well, have you considered this? Well, have you considered this? It's like, I love debates and obviously everybody knows that, but it's just like, man, just think about that. What accounts for that paradox? And how comes it's never been tried before? Mm-hmm. Or again, to such a, and it's so purposeful. Yeah. It's not like an incidental thing like, oh, this will work. It's like so purposeful. I just think that's really, really fascinating. Really, really fascinating.
What did you give it?
I didn't score it yet. 9.7 for me. 9.7. It was a really, really good song. I love it. I love the song. Really good. Shout out to Christoph. Shout out to M. There you go. All right, dear listener. We're coming right back at you with more Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.